Good afternoon and welcome to everybody. And the introduction also from Sipelele. And I must say, when I have a look at the decor here and the setup that the guys have put up, I'm very proud of you. Well done. Thank you. So in terms of the art of listening, there was this lady, this young girl she came back from school, and she says to her father, "Father, why don't I have a Bible name?" So he says, like what kind of name? So she says, "No, like Dolores." So her father says, "But Dolores doesn't come, it's not in the Bible." She says, "Of course it is. Dolores, my shepherd." So it's about the art of listening today, and listen carefully. So we're all here for different reasons. Some of us to get information, some of us to share information with others, and also maybe just to touch base with our customers and suppliers. So the talk is about declaring war on waste. So have you declared war on waste? What are you doing? And what do you understand by waste? So there are many categories of waste, as you can see there, basically municipal through to industrial, and I won't go through all of them, but lastly there's wastewater. So waste refers to any material or substance that is discarded. It comes to the end of its life or useful life, and then it has no value. So the materials are produced during various processes, but they're not immediately utilized. So often we get like byproducts that are kept in another space. So the effective waste management involves strategies to minimize waste generation, promote recycling and reuse, and ensure a safe disposal of hazard wastes. The goal is to reduce environmental impact of waste, conserve resources, and protect human health and the ecosystem. So that's basically what the first one is about there. So that's the Rietfontein landfill site in Ekurhuleni. But here is a horrific picture. So as you can see, there's a baby that was discarded. This was in 2018, not so long ago. Really heart-rending. It makes you wonder about what waste is. So is human life also a waste? We'll talk about that tomorrow. So industrial waste, there are many forms of industrial waste. So if we have a look at South Africa and we have a look at ISCOR, we have a look at Sasol, there's a whole lot of emissions and many things that we've been taken to task on as South Africans to try and reduce our carbon footprint and the numerous industrial waste that we produce. Electronic waste. We've seen that we've moved on dramatically from the old telephones, and today everything is driven, or most of the things is driven by electronics. There are some companies that are trying to recycle some of the waste, but there is more and more waste that's being generated in this space. Hazardous waste, well, we saw a couple of years ago what happened in Natal, where they discarded a whole lot of waste, some very toxic chemicals, and the impact it had on the environment. Biodegradable waste. So this is waste that we can use in different forms. I'll get back to this one in a moment in terms of where the opportunities are with this. Non-biodegradable waste. So a national flower or ex-national flower, the plastic bag, glass is non-biodegradable, as well as the tin cans. So, yep, and they do degrade over a while, but it takes many, many years. Construction and demolition waste. If you drive around Johannesburg, you will see many dumps, many areas where construction and demolition waste has just been dumped on the side of the road. It must be a terrible nightmare for someone like Ikareleni in terms of how they actually deal with collection of the waste. Agricultural waste. So there's lots of waste that's happening in the system, and food that we could have repurposed for consumption in one way or another, that is discarded and goes to waste. Medical waste. So as we get older, there is more and more medical treatments and things. So I know that in terms of blood tests, most of us go for blood tests quite regularly. And if you have a look at the syringes and all of the other things, the big thing there is, how do you get rid of it? Often it just goes onto a dump. Otherwise, it gets incinerated. This is one that really worries me. It's radioactive waste. So this is in fall pits. This is the radioactive waste that's generated by Eskom at Coburg. It's going to be with us forever. Now, South Africa has a small problem here when you compare it to other places like Russia and France, where a lot of their power is actually generated through nuclear sources. Wastewater. I'm sure most of you see at least once a day where at least one drain is overflowing. And where does it go to? It goes into the rivers. So what are we doing about it? There's lots of things. And we are blessed to be able to give solutions and come up with solutions. So the first thing that really caught my eye is about, can you remember how we used to have tomato sauce? It was in a glass bottle. And we battled to get everything out. Now we've got the squeezer bottle, which you put upside down and you squeeze it out. And the interesting thing here is that Heinz wants to create a full circular Heinz ketchup bottle by 2025, and that's just around the corner. So this is not one of the Mpact solutions, but I think this is really a very good product. So this is an Mpact product. It's a pet sorb tray. So you'll remember that, may remember that many of the trays historically had a pad at the bottom, which absorbed all the blood in the meat trays. Now they've got a special, we go like that. So you'll see the bottom is, there's a whole lot of holes there, and it sucks in the blood, and it keeps it away from the meat itself, which is also a very, very good development, I thought. RFID. So we need to track and trace a lot of our products. And this is one of the things in the circular economy, that we need to be able to look after the assets. And track and trace is one of those, and we're seeing more and more utilization of that. So in plastic containers, all the large bins, the jumbo bins, are made with RFID tags, or we put an RFID tag on them. Our wheelie bins, also for City of Cape Town, have RFID tags in them, so that the municipality can track how many times the wheelie bin is used. We're also able to weigh the weight of the wheelie bin as it picks up the garbage. And I think we're going to see many more solutions in this space. Predictive analysis. Or analytics. So it's about figuring out what we're doing, what we are using the things for, where it's going to go to, and then how do we minimize that value chain or the chain of development there. So Amazon is also trying to eliminate their waste. One of the things they've done in one of the countries, I think it's in America, where you'll see that there are mainly cardboard boxes. So if I show over here, no, it doesn't. So if you have a look, so that's all full of cardboard boxes. So what they're trying to do is reduce the packaging, and not necessarily going for a box, but rather going for a tube to try and make make the packaging a lot more efficient. Many of you may have received a big box from Amazon with one item in it and a lot of packaging material, but they are trying to reduce that. Collaborative consumption models. So we've seen the rise of Uber and a number of those things. So we've also seen that in terms of the circular economy, a company like CHEP with their plastic pallets. So the pallets get used by a whole range of customers, and it's usually by location. So once you've used it, when you finish using it, you give it back, and it goes into a collection depot. The next person that needs it collects it from the collection depot. There are people talking about new models but it doesn't go back to a collection depot. It stays with the customer. So once you've finished using it, the customer puts up his hand and says, these pallets theoretically are now available for reuse. Somebody in the area, rather than going to the depot, goes to where the customer is and takes on the pallets. So we're seeing development of collaborative consumption models in that space. So in the future also, or not even in the future, now, if you go to Holland, most of the people tell me, well, they don't have a car. So they share a car. And it's about who wants to use the car when. So a lot of collaboration in terms of how the world is actually changing in this space. So reverse logistics and take-back programs. This is one of our products. It's an attached lid container. Most of the retailers have these products where they pick into these containers, send it to the store. They nest together when they come back. When it comes to end of life, we take back all of the crates, recycle them, and repurpose the plastic. So I'm proud to say that we've just invested in a second recycling line to make more sustainable products in this space for the future. If we look at where the world is going in 2030, there are many taxes, especially in Europe, that will become applicable, where if we don't use recycled and find ways to use recycled material and find ways to use it more efficiently, there will be increased taxes. So this is like a penalty program. And as we know that most of the things that happen in Europe actually spill over into South Africa, and we have to conform. We also have to conform because we're an exporter into Europe. So you'll see also there, this is some of our folding crates, which I'm told that we're going to be handing out as gifts afterwards. And in the bottom left is our recycling plant. In there you will see one of our customers' crates, which is actually Distel. We do a lot of work for Distel, Coca-Cola, CHEP, Heineken, breweries, and a number of other retailers as well. So 3D printing, a lot of people used to say 3D printing, it'll never happen, or it can't make the volumes and things. So like all things in life, there are certain applications for technologies. 3D printing is suited to more low volume. So a lot of the aeroplanes that are being built today are actually built using 3D printing. So a lot of the components there. So we think that that will grow, especially in the space of smaller volumes. So I mentioned a bit earlier about agricultural waste. And so who's heard of black soldier flies? Who's heard? Some people. So this is one of the new sources of protein. And the protein is generated from larvae. Black soldier flies who lay their eggs produce a larvae, and then what they do is they harvest the larvae, the larvae actually feed off agricultural waste. So we're doing more, Plastic Containers is doing more work in this area in terms of finding a solution for a product that we can then market to a growing industry for dealing with agricultural waste and also some of the home food waste problems that we've got. So ultimately, what we are trying to do is find solutions to prevent waste, prevent this product getting onto the rubbish dumps, and generating new value out of the products. Just in terms of recycling, last year we recycled just under 5,000 tons, and our aim is to increase the volumes to about 7,000 tons, which is a substantial portion of our business. We believe that recycling is definitely part of the future. We're paying huge school fees, but if we don't figure it out, we won't have a future. So not only us, but even in the industry. And I'm very pleased to say that the industry, the plastics industry in South Africa is doing huge amounts of work. There's a big recycling line that went in Natal. The installed capacity is 25,000 tons, and they're looking to supply post-consumer recycled waste, but it is not for food contact approved. So there are many other industrial products that can be made out of this material. At the moment, they're actually exporting a lot of it to Europe. Europe is paying the same price for it as what they pay for virgin raw material. It is our belief that in the future, recycled material is going to become scarce, and it's going to be more valuable than a virgin, or the price will be much higher than the virgin raw material. So we believe that there is a good future for recycled. So basically, we focus on industrial waste, whilst some of the newer companies are actually going to the new space in the world. So one of the challenges that we do have at the moment is making recycled material that is food contact approved. So food contact means that if you are, it's like, let's take a strawberry. If you put a strawberry into a packaging, so that packaging has to be food approved. If you put it into a crate that's made from recycled or even industrial recycled, it is not approved, because we have not gone through a process of approving the material. So the FDA in America and Ribbon EFSA. Anyway, so that's a European body. So they're also looking at trying to promote the use of recycled. But the hoops that you have to jump through right now make it impossible to make a recycled material that conforms to food approved. So the food approved material is usually virgin material, and it comes out of reactors. In South Africa, we've got two manufacturers of that polymer. The one is Sasol, and the other one is Safripol. And many of the raw material manufacturers around the world are also trying to address this problem, to make sure that we are making plastic that is food contact approved. So when you have a look at avocados is not a problem with using recycled, because you're not eating the skin, and the possible negative things that could be in recycled material does not migrate into the fruit. So these are some of our challenges at the moment. Okay. So we're trying to focus on the circular economy, zero waste. You've seen the jumbo bins, so we take the bins back end of life and then we repurpose them. And also the wheelie bins. So the wheelie bins that we also manufacture are made from 50% recycled. So we collect and we buy back from the municipalities the recycled material, which we then put back in to the wheelie bins. And they still conform to the national, South African, and European quality standards. So AI-enhanced sorting and recycling. We're seeing a lot of developments around AI. So AI can do a whole lot of wonderful stuff that people can't really do. So these robots, which we also have a number in our factories, to actually do a lot of the mundane work. And we've seen a number of applications of these robots that they can even pick apples. So we've seen a number of orchards, and this is about AI having so the robot would have a camera on it, will actually pick the apple carefully and place it down carefully. So the same kind of technology is used in sorting recycled material. So smarter composting, this is one of Lance's products. We're seeing more and more composting at home. So we don't have space in landfill sites to just keep on dumping and filling up landfill. So, and this is a very valuable material. So if you can compost at home, that would eliminate that going to a dump. And in Cape Town and a couple of other municipalities are starting to move that way. They are issuing free composters to their citizens. So virtual reality and remote collaboration. So we can see here things that other people can see around the world. And you know, if we look at what happened during COVID and our ability to communicate on devices such as Teams and so on, we're seeing more and more remote collaboration. You don't have to be sitting in an office with everybody else to actually get a job done. Lots of opportunity in that space. Lots of eco-friendly material. I'm sure most of you have seen, especially in Woolworths, the punnets. So there are less and less plastic punnets and more paper punnets. So I was with ZZ2 yesterday, where they're moving a lot of their products out of plastic into the paper punnets. But in terms of ensuring the hygiene factors, they actually still flow wrap the tomatoes. So I thought that was actually a very nice solution. So one of the things that we must be doing is we need to be talking to each other about this reduction of waste and the solutions around it. And the only way that we can do it is by creating more and more awareness. So where does awareness start? It starts with me and you. But the one thing that I find today is that the older people, me included, we're not really tuned into a lot of this stuff. But if you go and speak to the young people at school, they actually think it's a crime to pollute. And it actually feels good to speak to the younger generations, because I think that they've got some better solutions than what we have. And that's basically it from me. We're all trying to make a difference through smarter, sustainable solutions. And we look forward to our presenters also in terms of dealing with waste. So waste are the things that come to the end of their life. So we want to become more efficient in the things that we do and add value. Thank you for your attendance.